news when I was taking some people agile, and I told them something. I said, what if your company was doing ground logistics and they suddenly moved to aviation and you had 300 drivers, bike riders? What will happen to them? So when the child stood up, I said, because these guys have their life and family also, I feel it will be unfair because they've been loyal to that logistic company for 10 years. And I feel the company must find a way to transition them. He said, because they will always have something to do, and some of them will be very young that can become pilots, So the company should upskill them, so that because you can't just dash their hopes. I said, you'll be shocked that if you had passed the mic around, people will say the same thing. So what do we do? Who can tell us? Now I was talking to one of my team one time and I said something like that technology actually is helping humans to be more human. But before we're performing rules that technology can do. Imagine we're doing something that machine should be doing. That's why most times the school system was developed not to be machines. So the lecturer says, give it to me the way I've given it to you. So we're programmed to be machines. We're not programmed to use critical thinking and reasoning. So even people that think critically get queries. In companies that even say, oh, we're highly innovative, guess what? Break the processes. You're given query. Steve Jobs said, we'll fire you for not making mistakes and we'll fire you for making the same mistake twice. He said, this company loves mistakes. But make sure you're not repeating the old mistake because you're not learning lessons. But keep making mistakes. But our company is saying, don't make mistakes. But, you know what? You must be innovative. So, have you heard these things around? It can be quick. I said, one of the IT companies came, Ajibola, come and take us on critical thinking. And I said, what's your enterprise culture? I said, Ajibola, management says people are not thinking well. And I said, okay, so what's your enterprise? Can it support your policies? Can it support critical thinking? He said, what do you mean? Just go and train. Just train. And don't forget that from the beginning, we know that this training will not work. Because the maturity of the culture cannot support the training we want to give. So they're not saying, but we train you on critical thinking. But policy say if I make mistake, I get fired. So who set up this policy? Who set up this policy? Wait! Who are policy makers? What? Why are you not bold and tell us that you are the one that is killing innovation? Tell everybody that I am the one killing innovation. We need to accept it. Because the beginning of change is when you accept that there's a problem. You cannot help someone that is sick. That is not accepting that is sick now. Am I correct? So why is HR behind? Number one, we believe in what? Predictable processes designed for unpredictable world. HR has no agile knowledge. So how would they be agile? There's no knowledge of agile. And they don't feel because the mentors that HR follow don't know agile too. Please, what I'm saying is don't take me off camera when I'm saying this. So, fear of not losing HR thrones. Because HR has believed that we are the ones that must come policy. But now, it's a collaborative effort. Imagine you have to sit with online managers to develop policies, sit with your team. What do you guys test it on them? Say, okay, before we launch, we're going to test it. Let's see whether it's going to work. Is it going to help the business? So it looks like, when they say, I don't know what I'm doing as HR, because Because we want to be respected. We want to be seen. Hey, mama, HR. Hey, mama. No, there's a way they call HR that makes people like HR. Because they know that HR is one that hired their fire. So some people actually want to join HR because of respect. Yeah. Well, because no matter what, even when there's no money in your pocket, you can still be respected. You know, when you come into the company, you can say, hey, Madam HR, how are you? That's the way it makes you feel. So that's respect is what makes some people love HR. So insecurity to accept what we've mastered no longer work. The last one is the problem began from what? Definition of work. So what's human resource management? That's what we define as human resource, and that's the problem. It's from our foundation. It's from origin. Origin. Yeah, it's from origin. Because we believe we must design formal systems, you know, that can increase predictability and make sure people get. But this is the problem of HR. The definition of the profession is the problem. And that's what Agile is fighting. That we cannot have formal systems. How can you chase a moving target? You need to, when it's not like this, you go like this. So which way should I go? Imagine you are chasing another bum. So you can't know what I mean by another bum. There's this, imagine you are chasing a bee. Can there be a path? How will you run? Have you chased fly before? Yes. Just fly. You're gonna but that means that's how we need to work. Because the business goals are changing. The things we think are changing. So we must keep changing like so HR go like so there's no way your team might not feel troubled. So how can we solve this problem? We need to embrace. We need to accept it. There's nothing we can do. We need to open up our minds and embrace the agile mindset. And when you talk about the agile mindset, what does it mean? You need to obey the agile values. You need to obey the agile principles.